With the fight between Errol Spence and Terence Crawford in the books, it's time to see everyone's reaction and see who ended up predicting the fight. Freddie Roach was so sure that Crawford would win, and he gave a great breakdown of what he thought would happen. Roach stated, "In my mind, Crawford is the best fighter in the game and has been for several years. In this fight, I give the edge to Crawford because he's the more complete fighter. I'm so impressed by his strategy and well-balanced style of fighting. I can tell he thinks out the game plan thoroughly, well in advance of facing each opponent by the way he warms up in the dressing room. He's not just warming up, he's working on his game plan. Every punch in that dressing room is a piece of strategy. I believe Crawford is the best boxer, and that's why I give him the edge. But this should be a great fight, one boxing needs and fans deserve." Well, here are some reactions to the epic showdown. Al Bernstein believed that this fight was as close to an even fight as boxing could get. Al stated, "In this fight, Crawford wants to control the geography of the ring and keep distance as much as possible. He hopes to catch Spence coming forward with a powerful counter. Spence would like to be inside where his body work can make a difference. I think a key in this fight is how well Spence can use his jab to work his way inside. There are so many scenarios that are plausible for this fight. It could be tactical in spots and a firefight in others. At the end of the day, it's a true 50-50 match, and that's one of the reasons so many are anxiously awaiting July 29th. Jermell Charlo thought that Spence was going to come away with the win, and he even put his money where his mouth was. Jermell stated, "A solid $25,000, that's my guy. I really don't like to go too crazy in betting and stuff, but $25,000 and have fun, you know what I'm saying? Enjoy my night in Vegas and get back home to my family and kids and keep training. I'm on my grind." Max Kellerman thought the fight would be close too, but he thought that Crawford would be slightly better. Max stated, "Spence has a great chin and a very high work rate. There's mustard on all those shots, head and body. How do you beat that guy?" Well, Sugar Ray Leonard figured it out. Crawford is the type of dude to figure it out, and I think that's why he's a slight favorite maybe. I don't know that people think he's going to beat Spence no matter what. I think it's a 50-50 fight. But if there's a slight favorite, maybe it's Crawford. Dimitri Bivol saw one clear winner, and he believed that Crawford was the more complete fighter. Dimitri tweeted, I would say Crawford is the favorite because of his speed, movement, and reflexes. Spence is the bigger guy in the ring and also has great ring IQ, but in my opinion, Crawford is the most complete fighter of all right now. Eddie Hearn had predicted that the fight was going to end in a knockout. Eddie stated, "Great fight. I'm going for a Terence Crawford stoppage. I think they're both unbelievable. I just look at two things. Number one, I think Errol has had more wear and tear over the years from the car crash and from tough fights. I also think Terence Crawford is unbelievably mentally strong in fights. He's a bit of a sicko going into fights. I'm not sure if he stops him, but I think he wins and I think he could stop him. Sometimes you make these big fights and they're cagey for 6 or 7 rounds and it might be like that. But if it catches fire early, I think he'll stop him." Oscar De La Hoya admits that he'd originally thought that Spence was going to be like another famous boxer, but he picked Crawford in the end. Oscar stated, "I've got Crawford. I think he's a little more elusive. I mean, Spence is amazing. I promoted him for most of his career. I thought he was going to be the next Sugar Ray Leonard." Evander Holyfield thinks that both fighters are fantastic, but he knows that there has to be one winner in the end. Evander stated, "Both of the fighters are great fighters, but when you fight, somebody wins, somebody loses. And I just think that styles make fights. Both of the guys got good styles, but I think it's more difficult to fight a left-hander, so I would say Spence." Carl Froch had originally thought that Crawford would win, but after rethinking things, he decided to change. Carl stated, "Crawford's a little bit older and has more miles on the clock, so I think I'm switching. I'm going Errol Spence to rip the script up." Adrian Broner thought that this was going to be an epic showdown with all sorts of technical back and forth.
Spence and Bud Crawford have agreed to fight. How do you see that fight playing out in the ring?
It's gonna be a crazy chess match, but a war. They're gonna fight. They're gonna fight to death. They're gonna fight the shit out of each other, and it's crazy because I got personal relationships with both of them. But of course, I'm closer to Errol. You know, even though me and Terence, we close as shit too, and his whole team, my whole team love their whole team. Like, it's a fight that boxing need. It's a fight that both of them need, and I really see a trilogy in this whole thing with them.
Wow.
I honestly can see a trilogy, and both of them guys retiring.
Wow. How about that?
Mike Tyson had to stick with Crawford all the way. Mike stated, "I've said Crawford, but it's really a pick'em fight, and I'll be happy either way." Sean Porter has faced both fighters before, and he thought that the pace would be extremely fast-paced.
Yeah.
My fight with Errol started fast and finished fast. We might get that. You know what I mean? My fight with Terence started slow and finished kind of fast. I mean, like, it. Don't say shit. Don't say nothing.
Carl Frampton thought that Crawford's fight IQ would give him the edge. Frampton stated, "I'm just edging Terence Crawford to find a way. I think he's a bit of a genius. I think he's an unbelievable fighter." Paulie Malignaggi was concerned that size would play a part, but he still saw Crawford as the more complete fighter. Paulie stated, "I think Errol's too big and the natural size is going to be a bit much for Terence to deal with. We'll see how it plays out. I think Terence is more versatile and he's actually my #1 guy on the pound-for-pound list. I think Errol wins the fight, but I think Terence is the more complete fighter." Ryan Garcia knows exactly how epic Crawford is as a fighter, but he still had to pick Spence to win. Ryan stated, "He's just gonna do what he does. Put that pressure on him, start getting to him in the later rounds. It's gonna be a good fight, but I think Spence is obviously gonna win. By decision, unanimous, but we'll see. Terence is a bad man too, but I got Errol for sure." Leo Santa Cruz had to stick with Spence, but he knew that it was going to be an epic fight.
That's a hard fight. They're both, really great, but my heart goes, with Spence. He's from our stable. So, but Crawford, he's really outward. He throws punches from different sides, from different angles, and he throws a lot of punches. I think he's more active than Spence, but I think Spence is more stronger. He's stronger, so I think if Spence catches him, he could hurt him. I think knockout. I think that fight's gonna go knockout. Yeah.
Gervonta Davis had a really interesting prediction and analogy to go along with it. Davis stated, "Errol, I know for sure. Imagine we're in a gunfight, right? And I got a metal shield, and the opposite person got a glass shield. Who gonna come out on top? It doesn't matter how much he runs around. Once them hands get on him, it's gonna slow him down. Ain't no if, he's gonna touch him." James Toney was another person who thought that the fight was going to end in a knockout. Toney stated, "I see a late round stoppage, knockout. Spence has never dealt with anyone who's just as fast as he is and who hits harder than he does. I love Sean Porter, but Crawford beat the brakes off him." Tim Bradley was another fighter who thought that the fight was going to end in a superb knockout. Tim stated, "I think his job is to frustrate the crap out of Spence. He's gonna get him acting overly aggressive and he's gonna run him into something. That's why I see Crawford by stoppage." Calvin Ford thought that this fight was every coach's dream.
Spence, Crawford, who wins?
That's one I'm gonna leave away. I told you that's a coach's dream right there. Get what I'm saying? Because like I said again, Spence is the bigger guy. He's been in that weight class for a long period of time. The question I ask people, throughout both of their career, which one been hurt in their career since they've been fighting? And then we'll know who the winner.
Okay,
that's the answer.
Tony Bellew really thought that the fight was a close one to call, but he believed that Crawford would come out on top. Tony stated, "With Crawford, you just see a fighter who's always at his best and always finds a way to deal with whatever's in front of him. He's my pick to win, and I don't think it'll be close or controversial, but both fighters have a lot going for them. Crawford is just a little more, and that's why I pick him." If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.